with you, Kurtop, and these are 100 proofs that we might not be alone. Unidentified flying object over Sakhalin. A video of a mysterious object seen over Sakhalin's mountains in Russia is going viral online. According to Newsfroll, the video appeared on social media and quickly went viral. The footage was likely shot from a military helicopter. The footage shows a metallic disc slowly hovering over a mountain ridge reflecting sunlight. It's clearly bigger than a standard drone. At one point, it changes direction and vanishes behind the clouds. The recording features the distinct sound of a helicopter, which supporters say proves the footage is real. The only question is, what was it? Cerro under the wheel? The Curiosity rover is rolling along the bottom of an old channel in the gated Valles Canyon. The rocks are just rocks, nothing special. One of the boulders cracks under the wheel of the nearly 1-ton machine, and inside a pure yellow glow flashes. These are elemental sulfur crystals, not dust or salt. Such crystals haven't been found on Mars before. Previously, sulfur was only seen as sulfates formed by water contact. Pure sulfur forms only in rare, almost familiar conditions, as if everything else was carefully removed from the rock. This gift will benefit science for a long time on two fronts. Sulfur is crucial to amino acid chains, making protein on Earth possible. Its presence also challenges earlier Martian geology models. Now, the area where such rocks are lying around becomes a priority point. We must drill, observe, and develop new climate scenarios. The Wolfsegg Iron Cube, Wolfsegg, Austria, 1885. A worker splits a lump of brown coal, revealing a tiny iron cube with smooth edges and grooves, as if lathe-made. Newspapers quickly called the find a bolt from the Stone Age, since the coal was in layers over 20 million years old. The cube ended up in the Salzburg Museum, where it was discovered that it wasn't pure iron, but cast iron with a high content of carbon and slag, an alloy typical for 19th century blast furnaces. A tiny tail can be seen on the edge, the spot where molten metal flowed out of the casting mold. Under the microscope, the surface has porous chambered rust like blast furnace slag. A piece of waste appears to have accidentally fallen into a coal cart and gone down into the seam with it. And yet, looking at the almost perfect surfaces of the cube, visitors remark that the geometry is just too precise for a random fragment. What if it's a part of an unknown mechanism that nature hid deep within the rock? Where does the saucer usually land? An interesting fact, 40% of unidentified flying object reports come from the United States. Why not, for example, Chad or Mongolia? The first reason is that America has covered the sky with a network of radars, literally on every mile. The military, airports, and meteorologists each have their own sensors. A denser sensor grid catches more fish. The second habit is filming everything. Americans, when they see a bright orb, don't run to their neighbors. They pull out their phones. They upload the recording to TikTok with the hashtag unidentified flying object. People elsewhere debate the object's reality, but the video trends already. The third reason is the black testing deserts. At night over Nevada and Utah, they test black triangular stealth aircraft, silent predator drones, and reusable gliders that will be revealed in 10 years. From the ground, people see only a dark silhouette lit by the moon and imagine a smooth disk. Click. A video called Alien Craft is already in the feed. Fourth, cultural background. Comics, secret test sites, Area 51, and the X-Files since childhood. You instantly have a name for any odd spot in the sky. In Nicaragua, it's called an evil spirit. In Japan, a foxfire. In California, an unidentified flying object. Simply put, more cameras and brighter pop culture lead to more flying saucer sightings. Aliens favor the United States not for easy parking, but because they're increasingly observed there. They're being documented. A human-made giant beneath the ice. Under the thick Antarctic ice at a depth of several kilometers, scientists have detected a structure that cannot be random. It stretches for 300 kilometers, has a geometrically precise shape, and its density is comparable to metal. Nature doesn't create such objects. An international team led by geophysicist Andrew Carlson made the discovery. Satellite data and radar detected what appears to be either a man-made structure or a hidden ancient disaster. The scientist himself admits that this could change everything we know about our planet. There are many theories. It's either a ship, a city, or a natural anomaly that shouldn't exist. Some suggest that it might be the remnants of a prehistoric or extraterrestrial civilization. Currently, drilling isn't possible, but a new expedition is planned. If approved, we could be the first to reach what's been silent beneath the ice for years. The Colgante Disk. An object called the Colgante Disk, kept in the Rafael Larco Herrera Archaeological Museum in the capital of Peru, Lima, may be evidence that people in ancient times knew what the arms of the galaxy looked like. This artifact, which is believed to have been created about 2,000 years ago, looks like a spiral galaxy. But here's the catch. The number of arms on this disk does not match the number of arms in our galaxy. If we assume that the disk really depicts a galaxy, it calls into question many things we thought we knew about ancient civilizations. At the same time, the Colgante disk remains a mysterious artifact, raising more questions than it answers. $2 billion for silence about aliens? The well-known ufologist Stephen Greer is once again in the spotlight. He stated that he received a generous offer from a high-ranking representative of the United States government, a person he calls one of the top unidentified flying object experts. According to Greer, he was offered a huge sum just to keep quiet. Greer established the Center for the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence in 1990. In recent years, he has repeatedly claimed contact with aliens and covert government operations. His reputation is controversial even among ufologists. Some see him as a brave whistleblower, while others consider him a fanatic without evidence. He said that in 1992, General Albert Stubblebine, the former head of United States military intelligence, allegedly personally offered him $2 billion to give up his public activities. Greer, just over 30 and a young doctor then, says he seriously considered it but declined. He thought it was all part of a major disinformation campaign involving civilizations. The host of the podcast where this story was told expressed doubt, calling it hard to believe. But Greer insists he is ready to take lie detector tests and his wife can confirm everything he said. However, General Stubblebine died in 2017 and can no longer refute or confirm this story. Square building on Mars. The Mars Orbiter spacecraft recorded a mysterious square structure on the surface of Mars. The object's sharp lines and angles sparked much discussion. Ufologists were quick to declare it an artifact of a vanished civilization, while skeptics urged not to jump to conclusions. Scientists think the square's appearance could be due to simple causes, like geological processes or a camera defect. They mention a square in Tasmania formed by erosion as an example. However, conspiracy theorists do not accept such explanations. They compare the discovery to the Egyptian pyramids and fantasize about ancient Martians. Elon Musk replied to the discussion, proposing astronauts visit the site to investigate. Meanwhile, social media users found out that the images had been edited to enhance the effect. Even in the original photo, you can see the square. What is it? An illusion? A technical error? Or really something unusual? The world's greatest mystery? Off the coast of the Japanese island of Yonaguni, underwater ruins of an ancient city have been discovered, estimated to be 10,000 years old. This complex, shaped like a pyramid castle, temples, arch, and stadium, is linked by roads. In 2007, marine biologist Masaki Kimura described the main structure as a monolithic stepped pyramid 25 meters high. He suggested that the structures were built by the Jomon people, who lived on these islands 14,000 years ago. However, Professor Robert Schoch from Boston University expressed the opinion that the Yonaguni Monument is a natural geological formation. It has been 37 years since the Japanese Atlantis was first discovered in 1986, but its origin is still shrouded in mystery. Kimura theorized it was part of the lost continent of Mu, destroyed by a catastrophe. He also found stone images, including an underwater sphinx. Seismologist Toru Uchi of Kobe University backed Kimura's hypothesis and dismissed claims that the structures were natural. However, Professor Sho remains of his opinion, claiming that the structure is not man-made and its features are the result of natural processes. The sea depths near Yonaguni still hold the mystery of these structures, remaining a topic of scientific discussion and research. The mystery of the Nanmadol ruins. The ruins of Nanmadol are a unique ancient city in Micronesia, located on artificial islands in a lagoon off the coast of Pohnpei. This mysterious complex, built from giant basalt blocks, is a sophisticated system of canals and structures constructed on more than 90 artificial islands. The structures are estimated to be over 1,000 years old, but their purpose is still unclear. The structure and construction technology of Nanmadol is impressive in its scale and complexity. Some blocks weigh up to 50 tons. To this day, it is unknown how the ancient builders moved and placed them with such precision. This mystery has sparked many theories, including possible extraterrestrial knowledge or technology used in the construction. Local legends speak of magic and supernatural forces used in the construction of the city. The ruins of Nanmadol remain one of the most mysterious archaeological discoveries in the world, attracting the attention of both scientists and mystery enthusiasts. The ancient city, encircled by water and myths, provides a unique glimpse into the past and raises questions about contact with extraterrestrial civilizations.
The Shroud of Turin's link to UFOs. This mysterious negative Christian relic draws interest from religious groups, paranormal researchers, and ufologists. This 4-meter linen cloth bears the imprint of a crucified human body, which legend links to Jesus Christ. The relic is kept in the Turin Cathedral and sparks endless debates about its authenticity. From a scientific point of view, radiocarbon analysis indicates its medieval origin, but there are theories linking it to divine or even extraterrestrial intervention. The image on the shroud is unique and hard to explain. It's not painted but appears as an imprint, similar to a photographic negative, which was remarkable for that era's technology. The connection with UFOs and extraterrestrial theories arises from the hypothesis that the shroud could have been the product of highly advanced technology. Ufologists claim that the process of creating this imprint could have been associated with the release of powerful energy or a light pulse, similar to modern laser technologies. Some believe Jesus' resurrection and the accompanying miracle may have resulted from extraterrestrials sharing knowledge with humanity. However, these are just theories.
Two-headed alien? A strange mummy with 2 heads was discovered in Tibet, and it was immediately dubbed the two-headed alien. This artifact surprised scientists and mystics alike. The mummy appears to have an otherworldly origin, sparking theories ranging from mutation to alien civilizations. Some researchers believe that it could be a ritual artifact or a cult image created by ancient people to worship unknown forces. Interestingly, the structure of the mummy looks unusual, even for mutations known to biology. Its body proportions and head shape suggest it could embody something mythical or otherworldly. Ancient Tibetan legends often mention celestial beings who visited the earth. Perhaps this artifact is an attempt to depict those whom the ancients considered gods. However, there is also a more down-to-earth version. The mummy may be the result of artificial mummification of 2 different bodies joined together for ritual purposes. A smoke screen. When the phrase Yankee Blue came up on Fox, many people thought it was just another conspiracy theory. But the documents journalists got were duller than any fantasy. The Pentagon actually had a team that made fake saucers to distract people. At night, lightweight lit plastic floated over the desert, radars detected it, newspapers ran sensational headlines. And while everyone looked up, real stealth prototypes were tested below. The scheme's main cynicism is its 5-decade duration. Whenever a strange light appeared, the press received a standard comment: an unidentified experimental aircraft. The crowd would argue about aliens again, avoiding tough questions about black military projects. Today, this behind-the-scenes work is hidden after the fact, but the effect has already been achieved. Half of unidentified flying object legends originated on Earth, not in star systems. In an office where someone decided that the best disguise is a myth that people are happy to invent themselves. Oklo nuclear reactor. Gabon, 1972. A laboratory in France receives a batch of uranium ore and notices something strange. The important isotope uranium-235 is reduced by half, as if the fuel has already been burned. The news spreads around the world with shocking information that an ancient nuclear power plant is hidden beneath the African jungle. Scientists rush to the site and drill dozens of wells. The picture is unexpected yet earthly. 2 billion years ago, a rare combination of conditions occurred here. Uranium-rich rock, pores between grains of sandstone, and groundwater that slowly flowed through the ore. Water slowed neutrons and started the chain reaction until it boiled, stopping the process. After cooling, the layer refilled with water. The reactor kept switching on and off for hundreds of thousands of years, leaving behind a distinctive set of rare isotopes. No man-made nuclear plant or alien intervention, just a natural geochemical reactor assembled by nature. But the story of Okelo still grabs your attention. It turns out that the planet can build nuclear reactors without engineers. All it needs is uranium, water, and time. Infiltrating Zone 51. He wasn't looking for UFOs and didn't believe in aliens. He just wanted to follow the old gold prospectors' route through the Nevada desert. But that path went through a restricted area where no one is allowed. Jerry Freeman, a California anthropologist, unknowingly crossed into the most secret United States base, placing himself at the heart of a major 20th century mystery. He traveled at night, hiding from patrols, all for the sake of finding inscriptions left by the pioneers who perished in 1849. But in the dried-up Pappas Lake area, he experienced something that shattered his sense of reality. In the desert at night, an opening appeared, shining an intense blue light. The light did not dissipate, but seemed to gather into a pulsating core, above which floated lights that flickered, synchronized, and were clearly unnatural. Freeman said he sensed a hum and vibrations from below, as if something huge was coming to life before him. It wasn't a mirage, it wasn't army range equipment. Everything was too precise, too synchronized. He stood still, unable to move, and realized that if he was discovered, he would disappear forever. Later, he told journalist George Knapp about it, the same one who introduced Bob Lazar and Area 4 to the world in 1989. Since then, Jerry Freeman has remained the only person who not only got close to the secrets of Area 51, but also managed to leave without becoming part of another military secret. The Laladov Disc. The Laladov Disc is a stone plate that is about 12,000 years old. It depicts a disc resembling an unidentified flying object and a being that looks very similar to the modern idea of an alien. You can also see a spiral galaxy. Scientist David Gaiman said the disc was bought in Missouri, northern India, and belonged to the Zopa, a mysterious group who used these discs in religious ceremonies. However, he later admitted that he made up the whole story, including creating a sketch of the disc, which his friend then turned into a black and white picture. Amazing artifacts constantly remind us that there is still much we don't know about the place where we live. But we know for sure that Earth's mysteries will be solved sooner or later. Aliens appeared on Earth before humans. Researchers from Harvard and Montana Technological University have proposed a hypothesis that could transform our understanding of aliens' place in the universe and on Earth. According to their theory, aliens arrived on Earth long before humans appeared, and instead of leaving, they decided to stay underground. This idea has been called the crypto-terrestrial hypothesis. The authors suggest that aliens settled on Earth millions of years ago, possessing advanced technologies. When humanity emerged, they hid to possibly avoid interfering with civilization's development. Occasionally, they aided people with advice, technology, and knowledge, leading others to mistake them for gods. Scientists cite much evidence for this, from mysterious artifacts and flying saucer images on ancient engravings to structures impossible for their era. Researchers consider the Earth's interior, the Moon's dark side, Mars, and deep oceans as possible alien bases. The Alaskan Triangle is noted for frequent unidentified flying object sightings and mysterious disappearances. According to another version, the aliens could have arrived on Earth on a planet ship after leaving their dying star. This hypothesis explains how they managed to overcome the vast interstellar distances. They may have left their planet on the outskirts of the solar system, beyond Pluto's orbit. Skeptics, of course, point to the lack of direct evidence, but the authors insist that we still know little about what is hidden beneath the Earth, in oceanic trenches, and on the far side. Perhaps intelligent life has long been nearby. It just doesn't want to be discovered. Life elements found in asteroid samples. National Aeronautics and Space Administration examined Bennu asteroid samples from the Origin Spectral Interpretation, Resource Identification and Security (REX) mission and discovered organic compounds vital to life's origins. The findings include amino acids, ammonia, and formaldehyde, which may have played a role in forming proteins and DNA. Scientists confirmed the samples have 14 of the 20 amino acids used by Earth's organisms. Minerals were found, suggesting possible water presence. This data strengthens the hypothesis that asteroids like Bennu could have delivered important components necessary for the origin of life to Earth. A curvy woman from Saliagas. The full-figured woman from Saliagas is a unique testament to the ancient culture that flourished in the Cycladic Islands during the Neolithic era. Her discovery has revealed many secrets about the lifestyle, religious practices, and artistic traditions of this ancient society. Saliagas, though small, played a key role in early Aegean history. In addition to its role as a connecting isthmus between Antiparos and Paros, it was a center of production and trade, as evidenced by the findings of obsidian tools that exceeded local needs. The ceramic vases discovered on the island provide insight into the design and style of the era. Their patterns and shapes reflect a creative approach that may have had religious or cultural significance for the inhabitants of Saliagas. Overall, the discovery on Saliagas provides invaluable information about the ancient world of the Aegean region. Artifacts of Kunshan. The Kunshan civilization is one of the most mysterious cultures of ancient Egypt, which existed about 6,000–7,000 years ago. It left behind unusual jade artifacts that depict humanoids with teardrop-shaped heads and huge eyes. Some of the figurines resemble creatures riding water scooters or even flying machines. These images challenge typical views of ancient cultures and raise questions about what the craftsmen of Kunshan were depicting. The unique Kunshan caves discovered in 1999 are also attributed to this culture. These man-made caves are striking in their size and complexity. Inside, you'll find pools, bridges, staircases, and passageways. The area of the largest cave is 12,600 square meters, but the real mystery is the traces left on the walls. They resemble modern tunnel-boring machines, although technology of that level is believed not to have existed thousands of years ago. It's still unclear where all the excavated rock went, and scientists haven't found any evidence of its use. Some researchers believe the caves and jade artifacts indicate contact with a more advanced, possibly extraterrestrial, civilization. The Gir civilization mystery. In Iran's ancient city of Jiroft, archaeologists found unique artifacts. These findings, which are over 5,000 years old, are clay and stone objects with images of unusual creatures and symbols. Special attention is given to figures with long heads and large eyes, resembling descriptions of extraterrestrials. The images on the artifacts of the Gir civilization are so unique and different from other known ancient cultures that some researchers have put forward the hypothesis of possible contacts with extraterrestrial civilizations. These hypotheses are based on the idea that ancient artists might have depicted what they saw or heard about. The findings also include complex geometric patterns and symbols that have not yet been deciphered. This deepens the mystery of this ancient culture. Enigmatic artifacts from the Jirovskaya civilization draw interest from archaeologists and fans of mysticism and the unexplained. Sphere above the runway. Khartoum Airport, a small local airport with one runway, a few hangars, and a nearby cornfield. The first message comes in on the night of June 3rd. The controller sees a car-sized bright sphere on the cameras, hovering at the runway's end. The collision avoidance system triggers an alert, but radar detects nothing. 5 minutes later, the sphere abruptly ascends, with no evidence of sensor overheating or communication issues. They wrote it off as a glare from a spotlight. 2 days later, the same event occurs during the day. But this time, a phone technician captures the sphere on camera while checking navigation lights. Video. Just a clear blue sky, a white sphere is hovering about 20 meters above the ground, as if it's being held by an invisible cable. Then, with a sharp 90-degree turn, the object vanishes behind the clouds instantly. The third time was at night before a storm. The sphere glowed brighter than streetlights, emitting a cold white light. The duty pilot claims he saw a thin beam of light from the sphere scan the runway's end. The thunderstorm hit the airfield literally 10 minutes later. In the morning, the engineers checked the equipment. Cameras and electrical systems are fine. Radar still detected nothing. The airport management calls security the military, but the report is brief. No violations detected. The object is unidentified. And here's what's strange. The sphere always appears at one specific spot where the concrete transitions into old asphalt. Since the days of the military strip in the 60s, geologists who came at the request of journalists found a magnetic field anomaly under this joint, as if there is a large metal block about 10 meters deep. There are no conclusions. Planes continue to land and take off. Controllers log daily sightings. Visual contact with an unidentified luminous object occurs 3 times a week, too frequent to dismiss as coincidence. And there's too little data to call it technology. Object near the sun. A structure is clearly visible in the large angle and spectrometric coronagraph solar telescope image that cannot be explained. It appears against the sun's corona, resembling not just an abstract silhouette, but something specific, a giant bird with outstretched wings or a craft leaving a trail. This is not just an illusion. Scientists estimate its wingspan at 150,000 kilometers, over 10 times Earth's diameter. The object was about 2 million kilometers above the sun's surface. It wasn't orbiting, burning up in the atmosphere, or following any path linked to the solar wind or gravity. In the Solar Astronomy Laboratory, Kieran and his colleagues called such images extremely rare and almost never seen. But even they did not give a clear answer as to what exactly we saw. Some investigators believe that it could be an optical artifact or a plasma ejection that took on a bizarre shape. But then why is its shadow so structured? Why does the object have symmetry, a center, and most importantly, movement? It feels like we were witnessing not an ejection, but a flight, and not a natural phenomenon, but something man-made. Old gramophone records. In 1938, Chinese archaeologist Chipute entered the Bayankara Ula cave and saw smooth stone gramophone records there. Each disc was the size of a palm with a hole in the center. The front has a spiral groove, and under a magnifying glass you can see what look like tiny hieroglyphs. The text tells the story of the little Dropa people who came from a distant star 12,000 years ago and crashed in the mountains. The legend quickly became surrounded by details. They mentioned 716 discs a warehouse, Beijing University, and that during an experiment one emitted a pure, almost musical electric impulse. But when ethnographers searched, they couldn't locate the artifacts in any Chinese museum. Photographs of the discs only surfaced in magazine clippings from the 1960s. The hieroglyphs were translated by German reporter Reinhard Wegerer, who later admitted he based his work on local guide stories and didn't access the original. Archaeologists from Gansu and Sichuan only know of Neolithic savannas with round burial slabs featuring a shallow spiral. There is neither microtext nor cosmic chronicle, yet the story continues. Every time a simple stone disc is found in some cave, people on social media ask, what if this is one of the lost Dropa discs? So far, not a single genuine disc like that has been shown to the public. Imagination keeps spinning, as if the spiral on the stone itself is creating a new legend, the tiny mummy in Atacama. 20 years ago, in an abandoned mining town in the Atacama Desert in Chile, the mummified remains of a humanoid only 15 centimeters tall were found. When this skeleton ended up in the hands of a private collector in Spain, it sparked a storm of speculation about its origin, and even appeared in a documentary film as possible evidence of the existence of extraterrestrial life. California scientists extracted DNA from the mummy's bones and uncovered its true, tragic story. Ata. It turned out that this was not a visitor from another world, but a girl who apparently was stillborn or died immediately after birth, with horrifying mutations that determined her unusual physique. Despite being only 15 centimeters long, some features of her bones indicated an age of 6 to 8 years. Instead of the usual 12 pairs of ribs, Ata had only 10, and her head was elongated and cone-shaped. Professor Gary Nolan, who led the research, believes Ata was stillborn or died right after birth. Her deformities were so severe that she wouldn't have been able to eat. In her condition, she would have been placed in a neonatal intensive care unit. But such devices simply weren't available in the place where her remains were found. It began as an alien story, but it's actually about human tragedy. A woman gave birth to a deformed child who was preserved and sold as a strange artifact. In the end, it turned out not to be a person with an amazing genetic story from which we could learn a lot that would help others. Legends of star people among Native Americans. In the culture of many indigenous peoples of America, there are legends about star people who, according to these stories, came to Earth from space. These myths reflect the continent's indigenous people's ancient encounters with beings from distant stars. Such stories are especially prominent in the culture of the Plateau tribes of North America. According to their beliefs, star people visited Earth and shared knowledge with Native Americans, helping them adapt, teaching farming, healing, and spiritual practices. One legend says star people came to Earth on shining silver discs, capturing Native Americans' attention with their light and sound. These visitors were friendly and shared wisdom with the tribe. There are also legends that some of the Native Americans went to the sky with the star people and returned, enriched with new knowledge and experience. Interestingly, these tales share features with myths from other cultures worldwide. However, while for most researchers these stories are just myths born from human imagination and the need to understand the universe, others claim that they may serve as evidence of ancient encounters with extraterrestrial life. Mystical figurines. These unusual figurines from the ancient Mexican city of Teotihuacan are rare examples of the art and worldview of Aztec culture, discovered in 1933 in the Metepec area by an American anthropologist. The figurines show men and women with hollow torsos. Inside, there are smaller figurines or objects which has sparked much debate about their meaning and purpose. Such figurines are often called hosts because of their peculiar contents. The hollow is closed with a door which hints at hidden knowledge, a secret meaning, or the concept of the inner self. These figurines may represent the Nawal, a spiritual companion believed to guide individuals in their spiritual journeys in life. Some interpretations link the figurines to fertility, nurturing, or spiritual growth symbols. Perhaps they personified the social or religious roles of a warrior, ruler, merchant, or woman from the elite strata of Teotihuacan society. The fine detailing, as well as the ability to open and close the figurine, indicates the high level of craftsmanship of their creators. This unique design may have symbolized the interaction between inner and outer worlds and the desire to reveal hidden truths about humans and the world. Ancient extraterrestrial flying machines. In front of you is an artifact decorated with strange symbols and images that resemble flying machines. Some researchers think this may be ancient evidence of extraterrestrial contact. The object's shape is unusual, resembling a capsule or ship. Inside are figurines with large heads and metal-shaped eyes, often linked to extraterrestrial descriptions. Symbols are engraved on the sides, resembling ancient writing, diagrams, or star maps. This artifact could have been part of a ritual object reflecting the beliefs of an ancient people, or it could be evidence of something much more incredible. Perhaps we are looking at an artifact left behind by representatives of another civilization. An alien ecosystem. On the remote Puna de Atacama Plateau in the Atacama Desert, located at an altitude of over 3,650 meters on the border of Argentina and Chile, archaeologists found a unique ecosystem with crystal-clear lagoons surrounded by salt flats. Rain rarely falls in this region, and the sun creates extreme conditions. In April of last year, geologist Brian Hynek and microbiologist Maria Farias, while studying satellite images, discovered these lagoons and set out to explore them. Despite the difficulty of the journey, the researchers discovered 12 lagoons with a total area of 10 hectares, surrounded by barren mountains. Underwater, there were green hills. Stromatolites are a microbial community that forms massive fossils. These formations resemble Archean-era Earth stromatolites, a time with little atmospheric oxygen. Hynek believes that this lagoon may be one of the best examples of early signs of life on Earth. In the Atacama lagoons, the formations consist mainly of gypsum, a mineral often found in fossil stromatolites. Hynek noted that the conditions in the lagoon resemble those of ancient Earth. Lithium will be extracted in this area, so the unique ecosystem will most likely be destroyed. A 2,500-year-old computer. The Aegean Sea, April 1900, just 100 meters off the coast of a small island. Divers discovered the site of an ancient shipwreck at a depth of 45 meters. For 2 years, researchers and archaeologists studied the wreckage and found part of a coral-encrusted metal box from the 2nd century before Christ. This device is the first mechanical computer ever discovered by mankind. The mechanism is 1,500 years older than any similar artifact and contains dozens of gears that control the device. It is believed that the analog computer could have been used to predict astronomical events. Ancient Greece, as it turns out, had knowledge of mechanics and could create such a device, which completely changes our perception of history. It is believed that the ship set sail from the shores of the island of Rhodes, since this place was considered the hub of advanced technology at that time. The poets of ancient Greece repeatedly mentioned in their works living statues that were being saved. This may not have been just a literary device, but possibly the first human-made robot prototypes. The Greeks said they gained knowledge from gods who came down from the heavens. It is possible that this was how they explained encounters with aliens who decided to share their technologies with humanity. The Indonesian star path. In 1992, geologist Castillo made a discovery that still causes shock in the Kapanga province, Indonesia. He explored the Devil's Cave in the mountains and found an unusual stone. Mysterious symbols were engraved on its surface, resembling a star map. The markings on the stone are strikingly similar to the images from the plaques sent into space by National Aeronautics and Space Administration with the Pioneer 10 and Pioneer 11 probes in the 1970s. The stone depicts a man and a woman holding hands, as well as the sun, stars, and lines resembling roots. Geologists claim that the stone was worked hundreds of thousands of years ago. This casts doubt on its earthly origin, since people at that time supposedly could not have possessed such knowledge. Conspiracy theorists suggest that aliens received the message from the Pioneer probe, but miscalculated and ended up on Earth hundreds of thousands of years ago. Perhaps they got stuck here and left their mark in the form of this stone. Another theory says that the stone could have been created by a highly developed civilization that existed in Indonesia long before our era. The map depicts a star system with 1 star and 7 planets, which is almost an exact replica of the solar system. Modern scientists recognize 8 planets, but Neptune was once thought to be an asteroid. Whoever created the mysterious stone, their astronomical knowledge still amazes modern science. Flying chariots. Ancient Indian poems depict flying machines as if reporting with modern technology. In the Ramayana, Prince Rama ascends into the sky on the Pushpaka Vimana, which glows and takes off vertically like the sun, powered by thought. In the Mahabharata, 2 Vimanas battle, firing thunderous metal arrows and leaving a fiery trail as they depart. In the 11th century treatise Samarangana Sutradhara, King Bukhoja abruptly uses nearly technical language. The Vimana contains mercury containers, an inner chamber, and iron rings. Heating mercury generates a force that propels the device through the air. Scientists debate how much of these texts are actual memory and how much is poetic metaphor, but the details are striking. The mention of mercury as a working fluid describes vertical takeoff and a separate shield to protect the passenger from heat. On the frescoes of Elora and the walls of Angkor, you can see streamlined capsules with a cone of fire underneath. It looks too much like a jet stream. Skeptics argue that later manuscripts may have been forged, making coincidence unlikely. Mercury symbolizes immortality for Indians. So why do temple depictions show mechanical machines instead of gods on clouds? So far, no archaeologist has found any physical parts of the Vimana, but the legends are still alive. People in India say celestial chariots will return when humans relearn the language of metal and mercury. Perhaps it's a hint that the technology is still kept somewhere. Offended mummies. The ancient astronaut theory is still popular. Its supporters claim that the gods were aliens, and ancient structures are their technologies. Archaeologists see this as a historical distortion and label such ideas aliens in the gaps, where fantasy fills gaps in knowledge. These ideas often come up around Peru. After Chariots of the Gods, the Nazca lines were dubbed unidentified flying object landing strips, although they are clearly visible from the hills and some of them are oriented towards stars and water sources. The most disturbing mummies from Peru are presented as alien. Maria had 3 fingers, an elongated skull, and a frightening look. Journalist Jaime Maussan showed her in a film, but independent experts were denied access. The archaeologists suspected these might be the remains of a real person who was deliberately mutilated. Cranial deformation is a common practice among many peoples, a symbol of high status. All the skulls that underwent DNA analysis turned out to be human. Not a single one was alien. The issue isn't strange hypotheses, but that they insult real civilizations by crediting their achievements to fictional beings instead of them. The Eye of the Sahara. This geological structure was seen by cosmonauts in 1965, and that's where its name comes from. From the air, it looks like a giant eye surrounded by green circles. It's a dolerite intrusion surrounded by sparse vegetation, which is a rare phenomenon for the desert. Cosmonauts even used it as a landmark because it's the most noticeable structure in the Sahara. In the center, there are silicious structures, which scientists estimate to be millions of years old. The oldest ring dates back about 600 million years. Initially believed to be a meteorite impact site, this theory was never confirmed. Then scientists suggested that Galpa Reshat has a geological origin. New research shows that this structure was formed under the influence of hydrothermal waters. One of the most unique features of the Eye of the Sahara is its ability to change color throughout the day, depending on thermal emission. While debates continue over its origin, most modern scientists think this geological wonder formed from erosion after the Earth's crust uplifted. The flying Tic Tac, an unidentified flying object, has been found on Mars again. At least that's what social media users decided when they saw a strange photo taken by National Aeronautics and Space Administration's rover. Among the rocks and dust in the frame, a smooth cylindrical object appeared, resembling the famous Tic Tac candy. The play of light and shadow made it even more mysterious. It seems as if it's hovering above the surface. This photo wasn't taken yesterday. It was taken by the rover Curiosity back in 2020 during the search for traces of ancient life. But it only drew attention now when one of the Reddit users posted the photo with the caption, "Tic Tac on Mars," and then it all took off. Some even compared it to that very unidentified flying object that was observed in 2004 by United States Navy pilot David Fravor over the Pacific Ocean. The pilot described a white, wingless, windowless object shaped like a Tic Tac that moved incredibly fast and vanished from radar. But if we go back to Mars, most likely, it's just an unusual rock. It appears to be flying because of the features of the shooting and the shadows. Corpses in the Cave of Death. The cave, located in a remote area of the Scottish Highlands, bears the ominous name Cave of Death, and this name is fully justified. The archaeologists were shocked by what they found. Decapitated bodies, children's heads on stakes, and traces of blood. Experts say these terrifying artifacts are over 1,000 years old. Researchers believe that the cave was used for sacred rituals during which human sacrifices were made. This place may have belonged to an ancient cult culture tied to worshiping gods or nature spirits. Practices involving bloody sacrifices were common in some ancient cultures, and the cave itself could have served as a kind of sanctuary for these purposes. The cave walls, marked with ancient traces and organic remnants, let us reconstruct the grim events from centuries ago. Though frightening, the findings let scientists better understand ancient rituals and beliefs, highlighting the darker parts of human history. Subtitles by UFOs in Russia. UFOs have always fascinated people. Throughout history, mysterious objects in the sky have appeared, with ancient chronicles and myths often mentioning strange celestial events. Most can be explained scientifically: optical illusions, natural events, or man-made objects. About 3% of cases remain unsolved. Interest in UFOs is also high in Russia. Russian chronicles first mention unusual celestial events. In 1111 chroniclers noted mysterious heavenly forces during a battle with the Palovchians. A similar sighting occurred in 1240 at the Battle of the Neva. Of course, it's hard to say exactly what our ancestors saw, but the fact remains mysterious objects in the sky have been noted throughout history. During the Soviet era, unidentified flying object research was more systematic. In 1977, the well-known Petrozavodsk phenomenon occurred, when a glowing object was seen in the sky, and its nature remained uncertain for a long time. In the end, the official version came down to the launch of a satellite. Overall, the Unidentified Flying Object Commission in the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics concluded that most sightings were rocket launches, atmospheric phenomena, or weather balloons. But despite the scientists' skepticism, people continue to observe mysterious objects. Most reports come from the Urals, especially Chelyabinsk region. In 1990, local historian Vitaly Chernetsov described a terrifying flying object over Lake Zuratko that appeared to take water from the reservoir. And in 2003, eyewitnesses in Chelyabinsk saw an unidentified flying object emitting such a bright blue light that you could read by it. Another place of power is Perm Krai, more precisely the village of Malepka. This place is called the Russian Bermuda Triangle. Researchers and tourists often visit, hoping to spot an unidentified flying object. Ufologists even claim that they found fragments of an unknown device here, containing pure tungsten, a metal that is rarely found in nature. Altai is also keeping up. In 2007, local residents witnessed a huge glowing sphere that lit up the night sky, and then there was a loud bang. Some say it was a meteorite, but no evidence was found. And in 2010, student archaeologists filmed a video of an object that hovered over the taiga.
Kagumsky incident. This photo, often referred to as the Kagumsky incident, allegedly shows the site of a supposed unidentified flying object crash in the forest, which is rumored to have happened in the Soviet Union in the 1960s. Popular theories claim the incident was strictly classified and the military quickly cordoned off the discovery site. It is said that the object is a metallic disc about 10 meters in diameter with a smooth surface covered in strange symbols resembling hieroglyphs. Local eyewitnesses, who are almost impossible to find, claimed that not only strange debris was seen at the crash site, but also bodily remains described as humanoid, but not human. In the context of the Cold War, such events were carefully concealed to avoid mass panic or leaks of information about alleged technologies that could provide an advantage in the arms race. Conspiracy theorists claimed that the crash technology could have been studied and partially used in subsequent military developments. What adds to the mystery is its coincidence with other supposed unidentified flying object crashes, like Roswell in the United States. This suggests these events may be part of global interactions between governments and extraterrestrial civilizations, with both sides seeking to understand the visitors' technology. The incident's credibility is still doubtful, but photos and descriptions keep attracting those seeking evidence of extraterrestrial presence on Earth.
Launch silos.
Missiles.
In Laos's Shanghang province, thousands of person-sized stone jars with walls up to half a meter thick are scattered. Local legends say these are giant goblets used to brew rice wine after defeating demons. The first French explorers in the 19th century were puzzled. There were no lids, some jars had gravel bottoms, and some were carved from granite sourced dozens of kilometers away. After World War II, the legend spread. American pilots mistook the jars' fields for stone rockets and bombed them. Excavations from 2016 to the 2020s explained the discovery, but left some questions unanswered. Around some of the jars, skeletons, glass beads, and bronze discs were found, traces of Iron Age burial rituals, roughly from 500 before Christ to 500 AD. It appears the bodies decomposed in the open air before their bones were placed in these large urns. How the inhabitants carved these multi-ton jars and moved them across mountains remains a mystery. No metal tool marks are on the rocks, and the polishing appears as if done with giant sandpaper. We know their ritual role, but we still don't know who shaped these boulders into a perfect pot or what tools were used. The first excavations of the sky. Fear of the military, not scientific curiosity, was stirred first. In 1948, the United States Air Force launched Project Sign. The premise was simple. If we see something foreign in the sky, report immediately. The reports are classified as secret, and civilians are told just one phrase. It was a weather balloon. In 1952, Sign was renamed Blue Book. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base will see 12,618 cases. Some files are marked as unexplained, others as too sensitive. The public is thrown a bone again. Optical illusion, 1969. The project is officially shut down and stamped case closed, but only the lid is closed. 2007, deep within the Pentagon, a new department opens, Advanced Aerospace Anomaly Research. Funding is quiet, and reports are quieter. A decade later, senators will reveal the tapes, and the military will confirm they continued. For 50 years, it's been the same pattern. They found a strange object, stored the recordings in a safe, and kept it secret. The archive keeps growing like cultural layers. At the excavation site, instead of shards, there are boxes of tapes marked secret. What troubled people back in Sumerian times and still worries us even today? The only difference is the price. Today, as much is spent on one unidentified object as could feed a small town. The Mummy of Montserrat. The story of Peru's alien mummies took a twist when scientists reportedly found an embryo inside one called Montserrat. A small fetus is visible on its back in the cat. Calculations show it was the 30th week of pregnancy. The female mummy is about 160 centimeters tall and has metal implants in her arms and chest. The find is about 1,200 years old, or maybe even older. Montserrat is included in the controversial 2017 collection presented by Mexican ufologist Jaime Mausa Montserrat. Montserrat stated all the mummies are real and unrelated to humans. In 2023, he repeated this claim under oath in the Mexican parliament. He says these creatures have 3 fingers, unusual anatomy, and don't look like any earthly being. But there is another side. Forensic examination in Peru found glue, paper, metal inserts, and fragments of animal bones in these mummies. The verdict was harsh. The artifacts are fake dolls. Still, not everyone agrees. American jazz musician and amateur ufologist William Gallison saw the mummies before they became widely known. He believes that these could have been ritual composite constructions created many centuries ago. If these are fakes, the main question is, why? Why would someone more than 1,000 years ago assemble such complex artifacts when even today they baffle scientists? Alien skulls? It all started when local residents were digging irrigation canals and accidentally stumbled upon these amazing discoveries. At the site, which was named El Cementerio, the remains of 25 people were found, 17 of whom were children between 5 months and 16 years old. And the remaining 30 skulls are so deformed that they simply amaze the imagination. As archaeologist Cristina Garcia Morena explains, this shape of the skulls is the result of an ancient tradition when children's heads were bound with wooden boards. This was done to distinguish their social group or status, but the exact reason for this unusual custom still remains a mystery. Evidence of the existence of a parallel universe. A group of physicists from the United States and Switzerland have announced a possible discovery that could change our understanding of reality. The researchers observed unusual quantum anomalies in the particle accelerator that classical physics cannot explain. They believe these anomalies could be the first sign of parallel worlds. One of the leading participants in the project suggested that it might be the so-called shadow universe, an invisible reality that subtly interacts with ours at the subatomic particle level. So far, this data does not provide 100% confirmation, but the very fact of such observations has already caused a strong reaction in the scientific community. If confirmed, the hypothesis could be a breakthrough. Humanity would better understand the universe's multidimensionality and, in the future, develop technology for interdimensional travel. For now, all of this sounds like science fiction, but such ideas are already ceasing to be pure theory. Earlier, scientists Paulo Bassani and João Moguejo suggested that the universe's structure and existence may align more with biblical descriptions than traditional scientific models. The line between science and metaphysics is becoming increasingly blurred. Dust from another star. In January 2014, military satellites spotted a fiery trail above Papua New Guinea. The object moved at incredible speed, exceeding the second cosmic velocity even in dense atmosphere. It was cataloged under the code IM1 and forgotten. Astrophysicist Avi Loeb noticed the trajectory wasn't from the solar system. In summer 2023, Loeb ran a magnetic trawl along the fall line and brought it to us. Hundreds of microspheres. Most are common cosmic dust, but about 10 contain beryllium, lanthanum, and uranium in ratios not found on Earth or in known meteorites. Under the microscope, the spheres resemble perfectly melted metal beads, as if exposed to extreme heat. Two scenarios are possible. Skeptics think this is rare man-made debris and call for better control samples. Enthusiasts say that these are droplets from the hull of an interstellar probe, torn open upon entry. Loeb plans a second expedition to verify the isotopic signature. If confirmed, these tiny fragments will be the first tangible souvenirs from the galaxy's depths, and an indirect hint that somewhere far away they know how to melt metal just as well as we do. Art and relics with cosmic features. For centuries, humanity has created art and relics that sometimes depict figures with unusual cosmic features. These images have sparked discussions about possible contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. One of the most well-known examples is the ancient depictions in the Indian Vedas, where flying machines known as Vimanas are described. Although most researchers believe that they represent mythological or symbolic images, some claim that this is evidence of ancient technologies or even extraterrestrial intervention. In numerous ancient cultures from Egypt to Central America, statues and reliefs have been found depicting figures with unusual headgear, resembling helmets, or with other cosmic attributes. These images are often associated with gods or great rulers who could descend from the heavens. Another example is ancient Sumerian art. Some of these images depict beings that, according to some theorists, could be interpreted as extraterrestrial. Nevertheless, most archaeologists and art historians claim
that such
images are the result of religious beliefs, mythology, or symbolic art, and not evidence of contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. Whatever the true meaning of these images may be, they serve as a reminder of the richness and depth of human imagination and our desire to understand and interpret the unknown around us. Fragments of alien technologies. Professor Avi from Harvard University
Loeb
suggests that he found particles of extraterrestrial technology in a meteorite that fell off the coast of Papua New Guinea in 2014. These fragments were delivered to Harvard for research, and the United States Space Force Command confirmed with 99.999% certainty that the material came from another solar system. Lopp and his team went to the meteorite impact site on the ship Silver Star. They discovered 10 spherules, metallic balls colored gold, blue, and brown, some of which resembled miniature Earths. Analysis found the spherules are 84% iron, 8% silicon, 4% magnesium, and 2% titanium. Lopp noted these materials are stronger than any space rocks. National Aeronautics and Space Administration has recorded and traveled at 60 km per second, faster than 95% of stars near the Sun. These results suggest being outside the solar system. The researchers suggest that the spherules may be part of a larger discovery, which they plan to investigate in future expeditions. Iranian interceptors versus UFOs. On the night of September 18th to 19th, 1976, a mysterious event occurred in the sky over Tehran, which went down in history as the Tehran incident. The report on this case was promptly sent to the State Department, CIA, Pentagon, and National Security Agency. It began with an urgent call to the Iranian Air Force commander. The air traffic controller saw an unidentified object not found in civilian or military registries. An F-4 Phantom was scrambled, but as it neared the target, it lost communication and onboard systems failed, forcing the pilot to retreat. The second interceptor encountered an even stranger phenomenon. A cylinder separated from the large glowing object and headed straight for the aircraft. Lieutenant Parviz Jafari tried to open fire, but the weapon system failed, as did the ejection seat. Only when he began to move away did the equipment start working again. Many witnessed the incident, military airport controllers, and Egyptian airliner passengers. The object was even detected by Iranian radar. The satellite is among the most documented cases in ufology history. Whether to believe in UFOs or not is a personal matter, but those who saw it with their own eyes have no doubt.
Life on Saturn's satellite. Now let's move on to space. While the astronauts of the Boeing Starliner spacecraft, Buch, Wilmar, and Suni Williams, continue to sadly await their return to Earth in February, National Aeronautics and Space Administration is actively preparing for future missions. In 2028, the Dragonfly spacecraft is scheduled to launch to Titan, Saturn's moon, which scientists believe may hold incredible secrets. Dragonfly is expected to reach Titan in 2034. Recent studies have shown that beneath Titan's thick, icy crust, there may be an ocean with warmth, creating conditions for the emergence of life. Moreover, beneath ice up to 10 kilometers thick, there may be an atmosphere, rivers, and seas, likely made of hydrocarbons such as methane and ethane. Dragonfly will be an important step in exploring extraterrestrial oceans and searching for alien life beyond Earth.
Diamond Needle, Anabar. In spring 2014, at the Anabar Placer in northern Yakutia, Russia, a gold prospector found a tiny transparent needle, about the length of a pinky fingernail, instead of ordinary sand in his pan. Diamonds usually form with facets, but this one was a flawless cylinder with no edges, nicknamed the sewing needle of the dinosaur era. At the Yakutsk Institute, laser spectroscopy and an electron microscope confirmed the sample was a diamond. However, they discovered a very thin layer of nitride, titanium, polyethylene, and traces of cobalt, a protective coating for artificial technical crystals made using the chemical vapor deposition method. They identified the source by the alloy marking. In the late 1990s, the Yakutsk Scientific Research Institute produced diamond probes and thermocouples to measure steelmaking ladle temperatures. During testing, the probe cracked, and the fragment was sent to the dump. Spring floods gradually washed it into the ancient clay layer. That's where the prospector found it. Scientists soon identified its real origin, but the story became a local legend. And every spring, gold diggers hope to discover a similar artifact again. Sphere from Colombia. In March 2025, a metallic sphere fell from the sky over the city of Buga in Colombia. Weight is around 2 kilograms. The temperature is lower than expected. Inside are 13 microspheres around a dense core. The layers look metallic but show no signs of welding or joints. All of this is being studied by scientists. But one fact already raises questions. The object does not look like something from Earth. Radiologist Jose Luis Velasquez said he found no signs of human manufacturing. The structure is solid, made of 3 layers, with an unknown source. Skeptics aren't quiet, with many claiming artificial intelligence created the object's pattern. They argue the lines are uneven and the design looks too human. Plus, Jaime Maussan has appeared in the story again, a well-known ufologist whose previous claims about aliens turned out to be unproven. So far, no one has given a definite answer, but the question remains, if it wasn't satellite debris, part of a rocket, or a fake, What actually fell to Earth, and why now? Baltic Disc, 2011. Swedish divers spot a perfect 60-meter wide circle on the bottom with a straight groove extending from it, like something dragged along the seafloor and then landed. The photo goes viral. An underwater flying saucer, the Millennium Falcon. Tourists rush to book boat trips. Ufologists are writing books. It's 2025. Geologists use an underwater LiDAR scanner for detailed research. The structure is strange, but inside it's ordinary granite with glacial rock shells on the cuts. It's a boulder rolled by ice for 1,000 years, then stuck in the eel, leaving an alien-looking trace. We can reach the same conclusion as before. Sometimes a perfect saucer is just a stone polished by a glacier, but this particular stone made people dive to the bottom, bring new equipment, and clearly demonstrate how science debunks myths and fakes. The stone remained a stone, and the Baltic Sea got its first underwater geopark. Baegu stone pipes. In a remote region of China, at the foot of Mount Baegu, amazing underground pipes made of stone have been discovered. These ancient structures, which are over 5,000 years old, are striking in their complexity and precision. Excavations have shown that the pipes go deep underground and come in various sizes, from small diameters of a few centimeters to huge ones over a meter in diameter. The technology used to create these pipes remains a mystery to modern scientists. How were ancient civilizations able to? In North America? In North America, similar artifacts are also found elsewhere, like the Colorado Plateaus. The pipes here have diameters between 50 centimeters and 1 meter. Archaeologists found that these pipes developed an iron-rich crust inside. Something similar has been found in Louisiana, United States of America. In this case, the diameter reaches 70 centimeters. Indian airplanes. On the territory of Mexico and South America, amazing artifacts have been found, known as Indian airplanes. These miniature gold figurines, which may be hundreds or thousands of years old, are remarkable for their detail. At first glance, they look like toys, but their shape is too similar to modern flying machines, such as space shuttles or airplanes. Scientists were especially intrigued by the tail rudders, the symmetrical notches on the wings, and other elements that would have no practical purpose in a toy. This raises the question, what served as the basis for creating these figurines? The only plausible explanation is that the craftsmen were copying what they saw. Perhaps these artifacts are reflections of real events, when the inhabitants of ancient America witnessed the flights of mysterious craft. Some researchers connect these findings to ancient astronaut theories, suggesting Anunnaki aliens or another civilization visited Earth and left traces. The mystery of these small airplanes grows as modern engineers have built models based on these artifacts that, with engines, can actually fly. What is this? A coincidence, an ancient myth, or evidence of technology that came from other planets? Too much evidence. To be continued, fall 2024. The Pentagon's new report lists 757 unidentified phenomena incidents in 1 year. More than half were recorded by military pilots. Spheres on radar, dark cubes in clear shells, objects moving against the wind and shooting upward. Many cases are explained as satellite debris, drones, or optical illusions, but about a third have no identifiable data. That means you can't really determine the speed or trajectory, because the instruments behave as if they're not looking at a physical object. The Ministry of Defense insists there's no evidence of anything extraterrestrial, but we've heard this same statement for 70 years. The problem persists. Air Force fleets frequently observe unexplained objects with cameras and thermal imagers capturing everything. Pilots discuss it. At first it seems like a glitch, until you spot something on radar making a 90-degree turn at jet speed. These reports were once kept in safes, now they're public, with only the last name changed. It's strange arithmetic. As sensors get more accurate, they detect more things we can't name. The sky's silent only when we're not paying close attention. It's the same story. Fear of technology is a myth. We see it both under the pyramid and on the Pentagon's radar. Flint hand drill. In the early 1960s, a farmer near Kankakee, Illinois, was digging a basement and pried a strange object out of the clay. A silicon rod tightly encircled by a stone ring, like a modern bearing. The photo appeared in every newspaper's forbidden artifacts section, and the find was soon called the Flint hand drill. It's claimed Native Americans had advanced drilling technology before steel existed. Legend has it that the ring rotated freely without wearing down its seat. The polishing marks on the tool were as good as those made by a diamond. Experts never examined the artifact, and after the owner's death, it vanished into a private collection. In Illinois museums, there are just regular micro drills, small flint tips once used to drill shells and bone. Archaeologists viewing the original photo suggest the drill may be a worn fragment of a 19th century clay pipe, smoothed by time to look polished. Until the stone is examined under a microscope, the story will persist, and online catalogs will keep listing supposed out-of-place artifacts. Let me remind you how easily a single unclear photo can turn into proof of prehistoric drilling tools. The billionaire was accused of hiding an unidentified flying object. British ufologist and director Mark Christopher Lee made a bold statement. According to him, evidence of the existence of aliens has already been obtained, but it is being carefully hidden from the public. At the center of this story is Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg, who, according to Lee, is funding a research project called Breakthrough Listen. This program, which searches for extraterrestrial signals, detected a strange radio signal from the Proxima Centauri system 2 years ago. The closest star system to us, located just 4.2 light years from Earth. It was first described as normal satellite interference, but Professor Simon Colin, former British Broadcasting Corporation science editor and National Aeronautics and Space Administration consultant, disputed this. He says the signal shows signs of extraterrestrial origin. Researchers from Cambridge have allegedly already discovered signs of biological activity on an exoplanet in this system, but they are not publishing the data yet due to possible political consequences. There are concerns that if this information is released too soon, it could cause panic or spark an international race for contact. Holland and Lee believe that the dissemination of such data is strictly controlled, and it is possible that scientists from China or Russia might try to make such information public first. The friendship between the people of ancient Egypt and aliens. The topic of the connection between ancient Egypt and UFOs is of interest to many researchers and enthusiasts of paranormal phenomena. Many facts remain speculative, but there are also details that defy logical explanation. Some temples and pyramids have drawings that look like modern unidentified flying object concepts. The best-known example is the image on the walls of the Ramses II Temple in Abu Simbel. On one of the walls, researchers discovered an image of a flying saucer, which has a rounded shape and strange aerodynamic characteristics. Among other confirmations, there are numerous records on papyrus dedicated to UFOs. One of them translates as, "and a fiery circle appeared in the sky. It had no head, but a terrible stench came from its mouth. Its body was enormous and it was voiceless." It's a bit frightening, isn't it? Similar records exist from a chronicler who lived 3,500 years ago. He said the sky was filled with fiery discs, but the pharaoh stayed calm and kept the warriors from fleeing, and the flying objects vanished instantly. Concepts like winged shields and fiery discs are repeatedly found in ancient Egyptian written religious sources. Iron was rarely mined in ancient Egypt and was a scarce metal, but the writings often mention iron thrones, scepters, and clothing intended for the pharaoh. The sun god was dressed in metal attire and sat on a throne of iron and fire, which also sounds quite strange. Special attention should be paid to the Abydos hieroglyph, discovered in the Memorial Temple Hall of Pharaoh Seti I. Here, ufologists spotted a helicopter, submarine, glider, and airship. For a while, the discovery photos were thought fake, but their authenticity was soon confirmed. There were suggestions that the inhabitants of ancient Egypt were able to look into the future. Other scientists believe that aliens travel through time and simply told them about the events of the 20th century. Skeptics firmly dismiss these ideas, believing the images result from two overlapping hieroglyphs. And another no less amazing drawing where a flying disc is dropping an aerial bomb. But critics also have their own logical explanation here. An inevitable encounter with the unidentified flying object. What if we find extraterrestrial intelligence? Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence Institute senior astronomer Seth Shostak is certain this moment is inevitable. According to him, the technology for searching for signals is improving, and every 2 years its effectiveness doubles. If contact with an extraterrestrial civilization takes place, it will change the course of history. Shostak likens such an event to Europeans discovering America, but on a global scale. He believes there won't be panic. Instead, people will be curious and attempt contact. But if the aliens are dangerous, hiding is useless. Earth's radio signals have long been spreading throughout the universe. The only challenge is finding the answer. The religious issue matters as history shows that exposure to advanced cultures has sometimes weakened people's faith. Discovering the aliens could cause a similar crisis. But what if we just find microbes like on Mars? It's less impressive, but it will show that Earth isn't the only place life can originate. Shostak believes that if we receive a signal, it may not be sent by biological beings, but by advanced artificial intelligence. Maybe civilization's future is in thinking machines, not living organisms. The four-eyed figurine. This mysterious figurine, called the four-eyed, was discovered in present-day Serbia. The artifact is estimated to be over 7,000 years old, making it one of the oldest discoveries related to the pre-literate culture of the Balkans. The figurine depicts a humanoid with 4 eyes, or possibly with features resembling a mask. There is a hypothesis that these 4 eyes are actually part of a mask or a headdress, and the figurine itself might not have depicted a real being, but rather a mythical or divine creature revered in that society. There is even a bold suggestion that it might be something resembling a spacesuit, hinting at contact with something extraterrestrial. Although, of course, this remains in the realm of fantasy. Little is known about the purpose of the figurine. It may have been used in rituals or served as a symbol of a protector or guardian. This artifact sparks ongoing debates among archaeologists and mystery enthusiasts, raising more questions than answers. The four-eyed is one of those rare artifacts that not only reveal fragments of the past to us, but also stir our imagination.
The Amazon Jungle Mystery. Padre Carlos Crespi Croce, an Italian missionary who dedicated most of his life to serving in Ecuador, became one of the most mysterious figures of the 20th century thanks to his unusual collection of artifacts. While working with the Shuar tribes in the jungles of Ecuador, he acquired many ancient objects that, according to some researchers, could be evidence of the existence of an ancient, highly developed civilization, and possibly even contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. Crespi's collection included strange metal plates with engraved symbols resembling ancient scripts, figurines depicting creatures with unusual features, and objects that many described as technologically sophisticated. The metal reliefs were especially intriguing, depicting beings with elongated skulls, stars, and scenes reminiscent of space travel. Interestingly, there were no known civilizations in this region that could have produced such complex artifacts. Rumors about the collection spread after some visitors, including researchers, began to claim that they saw evidence of extraterrestrial influence in it. Some of the artifacts, according to witnesses, were made of metals that could not be identified. Crespi, however, was not seeking fame. He claimed that he received these items from local tribes in exchange for assistance and food. The collection's link to extraterrestrial civilizations is even more intriguing given the mysterious legendary tunnels under Ecuador. The Tayo system reportedly holds a library of metal books. Some theorists suggest that these tunnels were a base for an ancient race, possibly of extraterrestrial origin. The Crespi collection might have been among these treasures. After Padre Crespi's death in 1982, it was destroyed by fire or stolen, leaving its fate uncertain. Could the missionary have become the guardian of ancient cosmic civilization traces hidden in the Amazon jungle?
An alien's hand? Walking along Brazil's beach, you might find shells, pebbles, small crabs, and even an alien's hand. That's exactly what happened to a couple who decided to take a romantic walk along the shore of the Atlantic Ocean. The bony hand with long fingers looks like the friendly alien from Steven Spielberg's movie E.T. It would seem that this is real proof of an alien's presence on our planet, even if it's not the whole thing. Leticia Gomez Santiago and her boyfriend Devanir Souza took lots of photos and posted them online. After all, where can you find the best experts on any topic? Of course, on the internet. A marine biologist named Eric Koman came across the photos and debunked all the myths about the discovery. He believes that the hand belongs to a member of the cetacean order of mammals, which includes whales, dolphins, and porpoises. And its terrifying appearance is due to the stage of decomposition, which lasts about 1.5 years. For many years, people have been trying to find any clear evidence of extraterrestrial life. But scientists always come along who can explain this or that artifact from a scientific point of view. In this case, the discovery indicates that cetaceans, which now live in seas and oceans, used to walk on land 50 million years ago. Beneath the webbed skin of a whale's or dolphin's flipper are 5 fingers, just like in humans, amphibians, and other animals, indicating a shared ancestor. Besides taking photos, the couple also filmed the hand to show its size. The biologist thinks this is part of a dolphin, which are common here. Bones like these should usually stay on the beach to avoid disrupting the ecosystem's nutrient cycle. However, scientists hurry to study recently deceased animals to determine the exact cause of death. This could be more than a single dolphin's accidental death. It might spark a mass epidemic or animal extinction from toxic water pollutants. Fake giant Vesna, 2025. A viral video shows an unidentified flying object, like object floating over Arizona drifting past a skyscraper. Clickbait headlines are everywhere online. 1,000 feet filmed by a drone. The video has millions of views. Autumn. Detectives get involved quickly. First, the object's shadow doesn't align with the sun's position. Second, the frame's metadata was made using the same software plugin as 3D artists. After another hour, the author admits it was just a portfolio render and didn't expect everyone to believe it. The video's appeal has already captivated people, with media publishing it, bloggers discussing it, and experts commenting. The result is clear. One successful fake in a night makes more contacts than real radars do in a month. The takeaway: in the age of clicks, just 3 seconds of graphics can make millions think aliens have arrived. Verification takes longer than lies spread. That means the next giant UFOs are already on their way. They don't even need to take off. The social media recommendation algorithm will boost them. Monolith on Phobos. Phobos, one of Mars's 2 moons, hides an amazing secret: a giant monolith. This monolith, about 85 meters tall, was first discovered in images taken by spacecraft. Its size and regular shape raise many questions among scientists. Some researchers suggest that the monolith could be an artificial structure left by an ancient extraterrestrial civilization. This hypothesis relies on its unusual geometry. Geological formations. On the surface of Phobos, the monolith looks as if it was deliberately placed at this location. This discovery sparked intense discussions in the scientific community and gave rise to many theories. Some believe that the monolith could be an ancient beacon or marker left for future space explorers, while others see it as possible evidence of extraterrestrial activity in our solar system. Martian meteorites. Greetings to you from space. Seriously, these rocks came to us directly from Mars. It may seem unbelievable, but it's scientific fact. So how did fragments of the red planet reach Earth? It all started with a giant impact. Either an asteroid or a comet collided with Mars, ejecting fragments of rock into space. Because the planet's gravity is 2.5 times weaker than Earth's, the debris escaped from Mars and set off on an interplanetary journey. Some of them took millions of years to reach Earth. Todeni 002, a meteorite found in Mali in 2021, weighs 14.5 kg. And the most famous meteorite, Allen Hills, discovered in Antarctica, arrived 13,000 years ago. Inside, scientists found possible Martian life traces. Maya and alien civilizations. How can we explain the existence of artifacts depicting spaceships, a calendar that works to this day, and perfectly smooth crystal skulls? All this is part of a civilization described by official history. Another secret could involve extraterrestrial visitors. Yes, you heard that right. One of the Mayan gods, Kukulkan, whom the Aztecs knew as Quetzalcoatl, was supposedly an alien from another planet. He taught the Maya such complex sciences as agriculture, mathematics, medicine, and astronomy. The Maya also knew about planets that were only discovered several centuries later. In the 1930s, scientists in Guatemala discovered a sandstone head, which can no longer be studied because it was used as a target during military actions. But it adds even more intrigue to our story, because its facial features are nothing like those of the Maya or other peoples of that region. Did you know that many Maya books, once believed burned by legend, actually ended up in the Vatican? It was these books that were used to create the Gregorian calendar, which is now used all over the world. All these facts only confirm that the Maya could have communicated with an extraterrestrial civilization.
This discovery changed history. The Nebra sky disk, created 3,600 years ago, still remains one of the most mysterious archaeological finds. Added to the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization Memory of the World Register in 2013, this artifact stands out for its design and intricate creation technology. Recent studies conducted in Germany have shown that the disk was made using hot forging in 10 stages. Each stage involved heating the metal to 700 degrees and processing it to relieve stress. This data was obtained using modern methods such as X-ray spectroscopy and microstructural analysis. Attempts to reproduce the technology showed that the ancient original methods surpassed modern processing techniques. The Nebra sky disk is a unique artifact and proof of the era's advanced metallurgy.
Alien metal in ancient graves. Archaeologists in Poland have made a discovery that changes our understanding of ancient society's technology in two early Iron Age burials, dated to 750-600 before Christ. Researchers discovered 4 artifacts, 3 bracelets, and a pin made from meteoritic iron. These items were found in Częstochowa in southern Poland and were kept in a local museum for a long time. Only recently, with the help of modern technology, was their unique origin determined. Analysis of the metal composition using X-ray scanning and electron microscopy showed that the iron contains a high amount of nickel and cobalt, which is characteristic of rare ataxite meteorites. Moreover, the ornaments on the bracelets were probably made using different types of iron, possibly to create a pattern. This could be the oldest example of patterned iron known to mankind. Meteoric iron is not just a metal. In ancient times, it was often considered a gift from the heavens and used to create objects for special purposes. Similar finds exist, for example, in the tomb of Tutankhamun in Egypt, where a dagger made of meteoric iron was discovered. And now there is confirmation that such technologies were known in Europe centuries before Rome. Scientists believe the iron was likely sourced locally, possibly after witnessing a meteorite fall. This confirms that the items had not only practical, but also ritual value. Sabu disk. And this is one of the most mysterious artifacts of ancient Egypt found in the tomb of Sabu, a descendant of Pharaoh Agib. It is at least 5,000 years old, but its true purpose remains a mystery. At first glance, it's a stone disc with 3 curved petals, but the details make you think. The thickness in some places is only 1.5 millimeters, which indicates incredible precision in its manufacture. Considering the level of technology at that time, many people wonder how this was possible. Scientists hypothesize that the disc could have been part of a ritual or a decorative element, but there are other theories that go beyond the usual. Some researchers think the Sabu disc might be a replica of a device from an advanced civilization that visited Earth in ancient times. The artifact's structure and shape resemble modern aerodynamic devices or complex mechanisms. The Egyptians might have considered this object sacred and tried to reproduce something they saw but did not understand. Some think the Sabu disc could unlock the link between ancient civilizations and extraterrestrial intelligence. These are just speculations for now, but the artifact's mystical aura excites minds, and invites us to explore the mysteries of the past. The Phantom Appalachians. The Appalachians are a mountain range older than both Saturn's rings and the ozone layer. Its rocks formed 1.2 billion years ago, when the continents were still united as one. This ancient landscape has inspired many legends, making the mountains one of Earth's most mysterious places amid dense forests and deep gorges. For centuries, locals have told stories about mysterious creatures: the Mothman, the Wampus Cat, the Mocking Crow, and the Flatwood Monsters. That's why social media is now full of discussions about Appalachian mystical phenomena. Scientists believe that the region's unique topography contributed to the formation of a rich ecosystem. Ancient forests and swamps, hidden from civilization, preserve an atmosphere of untouched wilderness. Folklorists note that in this landscape, it's easy to feel the presence of something ancient and powerful. Myths about mysterious creatures not only frighten, but also serve as a warning. Stories encourage people to treat the wilderness more cautiously as before. Perhaps there is something more hidden in these legends, a memory of a time when humans were just beginning to understand the world. Gaston's tooth. The French amateur paleontologist Gaston Leroux in 1971 was digging through the pebbles of the Pliocene shore of the Loire and fished out of the sand a perfectly preserved human molar. The layer was dated to 3 million years ago, long before the appearance of the genus Homo. That meant he supposedly had proof of a lost humanity that lived side by side with saber-toothed tigers. Newspapers reported on a pre-human civilization, and esotericists linked the find to the Atlanteans. Leroux gave tours and showed the enamel under a magnifying glass, asking, "Where else can you see such early tooth decay?" When the sample arrived at the Sorbonne laboratory, the X-ray revealed a simple truth. It was a modern human tooth, but it was covered with concentric layers of calcite. They embedded it in the Pliocene pebble. Based on strontium isotopes, the tooth fell out a few centuries ago, dissolved in river water, and settled in an ancient marine deposit, where it nearly turned to stone. The scientific verdict cooled the sensation, but didn't kill the myth. After all, if one tooth made it through time, who knows if real, fossilized skulls of unknown people aren't waiting in the depths? We just haven't dug them up yet. A photograph that shouldn't exist. August 1990, the Scottish wilderness known as Kelvane. Two men photographing the sunset accidentally capture a diamond-black triangle hovering over the hills. A Harrier military jet appeared to guard it below. The guys bring the film to a newspaper, which forwards it to the Ministry of Defense, and the photo vanishes for 30 years until 2022. A former press officer finds the photograph, carefully pinned to a closet corkboard. 6 perfectly sharp frames show shadow, glare, and a cloud reflected on the object. A nearby plane indicates it's about 30 meters in size. The Ministry of Defense gives the classic excuse, fake. Then why is there an archival mark from Dreyfus intelligence staff and a stamp saying, "Not for foreign eyes"? And why was the photo placed in a secret file if it's fake? Today, this shot is called the best unidentified flying object photo in history. Conspiracy theory fans are sure the British were hiding tests of a black project. Skeptics point to a double exposure, but a simple thought dampens both versions. If there was nothing interesting, the photo wouldn't have been classified as secret for 30 years. We only see a piece of paper with a light imprint, and what stood in front of the lens still remains unanswered. Is this craft from Earth or aliens? Why did it appear in only 6 frames ever? Photo of unidentified flying object sighting. Nanospirals from the Naroda River. Nanospirals. In the 1990s, while washing for gold on the Naroda River, gold prospectors began to find strange fragments, tiny metal spirals, 1 to 3 mm long and up to 0.1 meters thick. Under the microscope, the coils looked clear, like from a tiny bolt. Spectral analysis revealed nearly pure tungsten and some molybdenum. Refractory metals do not naturally form these shapes. The rocks containing them were from Pleistocene glacial deposits. If the layer is ancient, the spirals may have been there for thousands of years. They also started talking about nanotechnologies of a prehistoric civilization. They say these are remnants of mechanisms, probes, or tools from an era we don't know. It was later discovered that Soviet-era geological exploration in the river's upper reaches used tungsten teeth in drilling crowns. When they wore out, they broke off, rolled down ravines, and landed in the riverbed, where current and sand polished them into neat spirals. And the ancient age was attributed not to the fragments themselves, but to the sedimentary layers into which they accidentally ended up. Most scientists think they're man-made shavings, but the precise shape still raises doubts. We can pretend that nothing happened, that these are just mistakes, coincidences, or tricks of nature. But if even some of these findings are real, then our history is incomplete. The most interesting part may still be unwritten. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, everyone.